Good morning, folks. I'm in Bucharest, Romania. It's 1st of November. It's a very nice day. It's morning, it's 10 o'clock. I just arrived from Switzerland yesterday, and I'm now going for my usual morning walk in one of the very nice neighborhoods of Bucharest called Dorobanți. I just stopped by and hosted myself at the courtyard in the north of Bucharest, close to the airport, because the flight from Switzerland arrived late at night. And I just walked here. And this part of town, actually, I'm gonna show you around, is sort of a residential part, but it also has a lot of services around. Very nice architecture. A lot of streets in this style, like you see behind me, with houses and like very interesting architecture. So I'm gonna give you a walkthrough of this area, which is one of my favorite places to just walk. It's Friday, so the main avenues are still very busy. People are going at work. Then there's a lot of traffic, so I'm just gonna go on this more calmer streets and show you around. So here's an example of fine architecture in this Romanian traditional Brâncovenesc style, as we call it. As you see there, it has this type of decorations with Romanian traditional peasant motifs. Very nice car here. I actually like very much also this color. And what's very nice is that many of these houses have been renovated at a very good quality of renovation. For a long time there was simply not enough financial power to invest in such a renovation, so houses like these ones here in this neighborhood can cost north of $3-4 million, and it might be surprising for someone thinking that Romania is this thinking of a poor country, but in the last 10 years it's a great it has been a great economic boom, and of course there are very wealthy people and also very wealthy middle class. Obviously this type of houses are way above the possibilities of middle class. These are more for entrepreneur types. So here, for instance, another example of Romanian architecture. Probably a house like this would cost you about $3 million. It's very close, also connected to the airport businesses. Another example here on the other side. We see this almost like a palace here. It's always very nice, especially because the type of architecture is very varied. So here we see some of this more Mauric influences in these broken arches. So this is also something that is very common here. Very beautiful house. So many of these houses that I'm going to present in this neighborhood were built by the elite Romanian class from the period before the communists came in 1945, at the end of the Second World War. And Romania was back then a monarchy with a very wealthy, also elite class of politicians and entrepreneurs, architects, very Western oriented. Of course, after the fall of the Iron Curtain, the architecture program changed. We weren't building any sort of this premium housing. Everything was standardized, as I showed in other videos on my channel. And this type of architecture fell a bit into distress, and now it's living revigoration. It's a new trend to invest in such heritage architecture, which is very beautiful. So for instance, right behind me here, another fine example of such a building. Let me get closer and film it. A very nice thing about this neighborhood is that all the streets actually bear the names of capitals of countries. So for instance, this street here is called after the capital of Bulgaria. It's the street name Sofia. And then you have streets with names of London, Washington, Paris, and all of them somehow evoke a bit the spirit of those countries. So walking here, it also gives a bit this sort of international sensation. And in the truth be told, a lot of also CEOs of foreign companies that are seated here in Romania would probably have residence here, or even more so embassies. Embassies are very well represented, and especially now in this late autumn, mid-autumn, the palette of colors is simply amazing here. Let me see if I can get closer and show you a few examples of this beautiful architecture. So here this square is raised in memory of Elie Wiesel, who is a Holocaust survivor and Holocaust writer, who was actually born in Romania in the Satu Mare region, so the Satmari Jews, and he survived Holocaust and then became an activist against anti-Semitic movements and tendencies, and also Nobel laureate for peace. And here another fine example of such architecture. Very quiet. I mean, this is a working day and this is the atmosphere here. Just lovely walk. Here I wanted to show you a bit how a house would look, like before any renovation would be undertaken. So for a long time this is how this entire neighborhood looked. As we see here, there is as a plate there telling that actually also this house is a monument, but obviously this one probably is still owned by the original owners, who probably are not affording to invest in a renovation. I'm very happy actually to see that this neighborhood is being reconditioned and cherished. And here we have another example of a house that is not renovated, but another typical thing of Bucharest, this ivy and this ivy covered houses, a lot of green here. It's just a very homey atmosphere. I mean, take a look there at that porch. What a wonderful atmosphere here with the open window there. Absolutely lovely. I'm gonna try to capture a bit more of these beautiful details of architecture from this garden. Can you imagine even the sound of the wind here blowing and a bit bird sound? Really beautiful. So I'm gonna walk on this Sofia Street towards the Google main office and the government building, which is actually the edge of this neighborhood of villas. It's actually quite large. It's almost like a maze here. It's a grid of these streets full of villas, and on my way I will try to show you some other remarkable buildings. There is right behind me, I believe this is an embassy or an official building. Also a very nice setting. This is actually something very pleasant. Every time I come visit here, maybe every year, I see things improving more and more. Bucharest is now in an absolute booming phase in terms also of real estate. This whole northern part of Bucharest is being developed at a very massive pace. A bit chaotic to my taste, because it's a lot driven by like private individuals rather than state regulated initiatives. So like if you have a plot of land, like in the north of city, that's super valuable, and you'd probably just try to develop or sell it to some more established developer to put an office tower there, and that's what's generally happening, which makes it a bit chaotic. But here in this villa neighborhood, urban planning regulations are followed, and everything is very orderly. And this is to my liking, the area that I prefer to be around rather than this fully newly developed business areas. So let me see if I can capture also a bit of these other villas that we see here around. Let me flip the camera. the typical Bucharest view of this plants just going wild. The climate is very mild here, so by default, if you don't do anything, like, nature will take over. It's a very good climate. Actually, it became too hot in the last years, also because of a lot of cars in the traffic. And another problem that started appearing is that trees are drying out. They don't, also because of this excessive real estate development, they don't have enough raw earth and soil to draw their nutrients from. Here, I believe this is an Italian convent. I've never been inside. No, it's a French one. It's Sacré-Cœur called. So here we have, as you can see here, belongs to the Embassy of France. So it is a French church here. Another very interesting thing that is very specific of Romania and generally Eastern European countries, is the amount of interest that people place on real estate. And the reason being is that it's both seen as a status symbol to own property, as well as it's actually a good and better investment than in Western countries because of less regulations and more an easier way to deal with real estate in terms of renovation, changes that you might want to do, rules for subletting or renting out property, and that caused people to generally place their money into real estate. Everybody at all levels. I mean, here I'm showing the like the highest level of real estate that you can buy in Romania, but obviously people do it also in the neighborhoods like Militar District, which I presented in other of my videos. These more working class districts, where you could buy an apartment maybe for 150,000 euros or dollars, and it's seen as a good way of placing your money. It probably can earn you a return of around 5%, 6% a year, depending on how much you want to invest in maintaining, or how much do you want to milk the property, so to say. Right now there's also a tendency, actually one of my friends is leading a platform of investing, so investing in stocks, in equities or in bonds. So this is starting now to also become a vehicle of investment, so regular participation in the stock market, private enterprises, but still real estate would be the preferred way of investing in Romania. It's also because there is this boom in development, and obviously being a booming industry, the values of the apartments and properties greatly appreciated. Now I think they stabilized over the past maybe 3-4 years, so they're not growing at this great pace as they used to. It's probably already coming close to a saturation and a maximum point. So let me show you here also examples behind me, here and there, of this like newer type of apartment buildings that were built in this area, but still respecting the atmosphere and like hate regime of the neighborhood. So here's an example of how this villa neighborhood has also been sprinkled with more modern type of buildings. So this reminds very much of this Swiss style, like very minimalistic. A lot of actually German Swiss architects have projects here. You can see like a very good quality. Also, having an apartment here would cost you probably north of $1 million for a 100 square meter apartment. But as you see, I mean, the level of comfort and quietness is just amazing. I myself would prefer living in an apartment building rather than having my own house, because it's less less burden on the maintenance. Here's another fine example of a building under renovation. It's still a construction site, as we see here. There's still protection panels installed, and this is just an absolutely amazing monument, also with this Romanian elements with wooden decor. And in the tower above we can see, it's very hard to see here in this camera, but we can see very beautiful painting there. So also a very prime example of wonderful Romanian neoclassical architecture. And it gives me so much pleasure to see that it's being renovated at this very high level, honoring the heritage of such a wonderful building. So we can see here authorization. Another fine example here. I think this building hosts an institution. Also this very funny Citroën with Italian numbers, Roma license plate. You can see that there's the Romanian flag there, as well as the European Union flag. So I can already see the palm. This is the Romanian Cultural Institute. This institution is sort of a politicized institution who's supposed to represent Romanian culture abroad, and you know, like be a promoter of Romanian history and culture in the world. Of course, as with all state institutions, they're not perfectly run. It's very politicized, but at least this building looks amazing. Here another perspective of the Romanian Cultural Institute. Very nice in this autumn color still. Unusually warm this autumn. By this date normally all the leaves would have fallen already, but still seems that it's holding on. Here another very fine example of this Romanian architecture. It's very interesting because it's very eclectic, like no two houses are the same. In Switzerland generally, for instance, or in the west of Europe, if you look at the villas, they're much more homogeneous, but here they have some elements that unite them, like this decoration, wooden decoration next to the windows, or this Romanian motifs, but generally the shapes are very different, which makes it very interesting, because you don't get bored. Like each house in its own, it's like a work of art. So I left right behind me the embassy of Bulgaria, which is a neighboring country. It was guarded by police officer, so I avoided filming there just to avoid any discussion, even though I think wouldn't have been any problem. And this street that I am in, it's called the Rabat Street, of course named by the capital of Morocco. Romania had traditionally, during communist times, during the dictatorship of Ceausescu, very good relationship with the Arab world, and we're still trying to maintain them, like not really take too much side into this Middle Eastern, too much partisan side in this Middle Eastern affairs. There are still a lot of travel and business coming from that region, both from the Jewish Israeli side as well as the Arab side. Especially Arabs come here, people from Arab countries come here to study medicine, and actually a lot of very good doctors in Romania are of Arab origin. It's a very interesting thing. This program started during the dictatorship of Ceausescu, but they still continue now, this relationship in the medical field between Romania and the Arab countries. Also Israel, I must say, has the same type of relationships in terms of education in these fields of medical care. A lot of Israeli Jewish medical practices here in Romania. I'm walking now on this street called Athens, of course, the capital of Greece. Surprisingly empty for a working day. I see almost no traffic. If you would come here over the weekends, you would also probably see much less parked cars. But I'm pleased that I got a chance now to show you guys here. Another interesting thing is at the ground floor, some of these houses you could still find local businesses like maybe architecture studios or fashion studios. It's not overwhelming. It's generally this type of high-level boutique style of business where there's not much customer traffic going back and forth, so it retains the atmosphere of this Dorobanți Capitale, capital's neighborhood. Here we're in one of the main squares of this neighborhood. I believe it's called the Quito Square, after the capital of Ecuador. It's a very nice monument here, symbolizing again the globe there on the wings of these hawks. An interesting thing to notice in Romania is that regardless of how upscale the neighborhood is, or let's say for a museum or institution the renovation would have been done, there's always like a level of randomness and like a little element of kitsch, maybe bad taste, or like a little bit of something that's quite off, that will always be present. And but somehow it doesn't really bother. It actually makes the things look even more common and friendly. And these things can be, like maybe, like in a park, if you would have an alley, there would be some broken piece of stone, or like some just plastic trash can that is in a very like strong color and such things. But these things somehow contribute to an atmosphere of familiarity and relaxation compared to a country like Switzerland, where everything is so strictly prescribed that it's almost rigid, and you feel that you don't have even space to make any mistake, so to say. So this is an interesting thing. It's like more mentally soothing, I would say. I like it. So here we're getting close to the Victory Square and the Google offices. Even though it's Friday, I won't go to the office today. Our badges work, so regardless of the offices or the city that you're in, you can always access with the same badge, and then just come and work from here, from any Google office for that matter. As you guys might know, if you're following my channel, I work for Google as an engineer, so there's also an office here, and it's quite a big R&D facility with more than 200 engineers, mostly focused on things like Fitbit, which is a project that was actually started here in Romania, and then it was an acquisition made by Google. So very nice success story. Sometimes when I come here, I work just my regular work schedule from here is just a 1 hour difference from the time in Switzerland, and for our colleagues in America it's still late evening meeting, so everything works well. I'm gonna show you guys as I'm getting closer. It's a very nice modern building. It's becoming a bit noisier here because we're getting closer to the larger avenues of the town, so I hope you guys can still hear me. And just across the corner here we will get to the Google building, and I'm gonna show you guys shortly. So here we are in this very modern mixed-use building with a lot of interesting plants here, a mix of old and new. This is where the Google offices are located, and also here the ground floor. This is open for everybody, so it's not really owned by or managed by Google. It's just local businesses, and the Google offices, you can even see there There's a Google logo. Yeah, always a bit Google keeps it more discreet, but you can definitely see the sign there through the window. So it's a very nice place to work, especially because then you can come have lunch here, and this whole plaza, it's very always very lively. Another very interesting building here in this part of Bucharest, next to Victoriei Square, is the National Peasants Museum. So this is a museum dedicated to Romanian rural culture and traditions. Romania has had traditionally 3 regions, each of them with influences from their strong power neighbors. So Transylvania, of course, had this German influence. Moldova had this Slavic Russian influence, and here the southern Romania had obviously the Ottoman influence. And this museum was created at the beginning of the 20th century by a Romanian researcher who tried to conserve and get a snapshot of how the Romanian village looked like during the, let's say, Middle Ages to modern history. And if you go inside, actually you will even see entire replicas of houses that were disassembled and conserved here and put on display. It's a very nice museum, and very modern on the inside, in spite of this traditional Romanian facade that is more classical in nature. So it's definitely a must-see for any tourist coming to Bucharest. Here the facade in this very beautiful November light. Museum of the Romanian peasant. Another such fine example here on the Kiseleff Street is this monument school. This is actually a public school in a monument building. As you can see, also these Romanian motifs, and just imagine going to school in such a place. It's almost like a fairy tale. And this is a public school. Of course, not all public schools in Romania look like this, but yeah, this is a fine example. So I'm walking here on one of the main avenues of Bucharest, and one of the most beautiful, which is called Kiseleff, after a Russian general of the 19th century who played an important role in a armed conflict in which Romania was on the same side as Russia, and then actually was for some time a military administrator of this region, a short time, and this boulevard honors its name. On the subject of Romania's relationship with Russia, it's a complex relationship, especially because of the communist time where Romania was, so to say, forced to be part of the Eastern Bloc as a development of the outcome of the Second World War. Of course, Romania sees that as a external force that was imposed, but in reality it was a consequence of Romanian policies in the Second World War, where Romania was part of the Axis power, so fighting alongside the German army all the way at Stalingrad. And of course, as they were defeated, there were some imposed changes by the winners, which are the Russians. Now, in recent times in this conflict, Romania actually took a lot of Ukrainian refugees, also a lot of Russians entrepreneurs here. I think it's much less ideological here than in the West. It's the relationship between these two nations. It's guided on more practical terms. Of course, we have been neighbors. The USSR was a neighbor of Romania for 50 years, and now we're neighboring also Ukraine and Moldova. And there's a lot of Russian businesses here, also Ukrainian businesses. So it's a much more so to say, practical type rather than ideological type of atmosphere between these two nations, which I actually very much enjoy. So coming from this more political to more practical and personal terms, we're getting close here to the National College of Informatics. That would be translated as the high school, the National High School for Computer Science, where I studied for 4 years. This is an elite high school, which is still a public high school in Bucharest. Actually, now even students from other cities come to join this high school. It's a very difficult admission exam to get in, so generally only the most talented and mathematically inclined students come and are able to join. And once you get inside, it's really a culture of performance in the sense of participating at national or international competitions in fields of mathematics, computer science, physics, chemistry, and I think the thing that sets it apart is mostly the quality of the students and the encouragement that the administration of the high school gives and rewards that it gives for such accomplishments. So as I was participating in this high school competitions at national and international level, I was basically given a blank check to just you know, come whenever I please to school, provided, you know, like I'm training for these competitions. So I was just spending hours, like 5, 6, 7 hours a day, just coding this type of problems that you would now code to get into Google or into Facebook. So this type of top coder type problems. And we had clubs of students where we were training together, and actually a very, very big part of the students that were participating in these competitions chose to go to the United States, to Harvard, Princeton, MIT. I myself didn't choose to do it because I really very much enjoyed Bucharest, and I was not in the mood for taking the SATs, but you know, like a lot of my friends just decided to go straight from this high school here right at our back, the Tudor Vianu High School, straight to MIT, for instance, or Stanford. Like my good friend Radu, for instance, he just studied then and did a PhD at MIT. So it's also a very, very beautiful Romanian classical Brâncovenesque type of building. And here, this is the place where for 4 years I was coming every day. It's a very big pleasure for me to come back here. It's the place where I learned actually how to program. So the security kindly asked me not to film inside. I'm sorry I am not able to film. I don't want also to get him in trouble, because he was very, very kind, and I finished actually this high school more than 20 years ago. 22 years ago. He said he's been a security for 18 years, and then asked me who was my my professor, my lead professor, and I told her the name, and he said she's still teaching here. So very nice to hear that. It's sort of a community, and actually it's just amazing how far students of this high school have reached, what levels in their career. It's just an amazing cradle for Romanian engineering and science, this institution. And also it was very nice because, you know, it was somehow, I don't know how it is now, but it was never about these things, about showing off money, showing off cars, even though, you know, like it's in the best neighborhood of Bucharest. Everything was very, very down to earth. I hope it retained that character. I saw a poster there that they hosted a Balkan Eastern European Olympiad in informatics 1 year ago, so I'm very pleased to hear that these competitions are still ongoing. I myself won medal at such a competition, and it's absolutely great to see that this tradition of this high school goes on. I just loved my time here. So here, the high school, as you can see, it's like a very relaxed and kind atmosphere and friendly everybody here. It's Saturday morning here in Bucharest. I'm walking with my dear wife Erika. It's such a lovely autumn day. It seems that it's the last sunny day of the autumn. A wave of cold will soon arrive, but right now all Bucharest is just plain yellow, all colors here, leaves falling from the trees. It's such a pleasant atmosphere to be walking and hearing the sounds of the leaves under your feet. I'm going to show you guys. I'm around here, the let's say most upscale part of Bucharest, the north of Bucharest, on the Herăstrău, next to the Herăstrău Park. Herăstrău Park is right behind me here, and this is an alley of villas. This is also where the dictator Ceausescu used to have his villa, the next street. So maybe we're gonna walk a bit and show you around. You guys see what I'm talking about? This is the atmosphere from today. And here over there we have the biggest park in Bucharest, which is the Herăstrău Park. We're not gonna visit it today, maybe on the next occasion, but we're gonna head towards the Primăveri district here. And here we have all kinds of these protocol villas like this one. I think this is an embassy actually of an Arab country, if I'm not mistaken. So let's head towards this area. So here I am with my entire gang here. Right behind me, there is Erika, who is my wife, and then my mother, my sister, Mihai, and Emma, who is my little niece here. And we're doing now a little walk here in the old town of Bucharest. And here, she's my mother, and we took her out for a walk here in Bucharest. This is my vlogging camera, and now we're gonna head out from this old town part, which is called Vianu Street, all the way to Cismigiu Park, which is the nicest park here in the city center of Bucharest. And we have a big gang here together with Emma, my sister. Look, Emma right behind me. And we're gonna go for a walk in Cismigiu Park.